Hi everyone, Pollywog here, and I am here to teach you how to make your very own Chevron style friendship bracelet. It's one of my favorite bracelets or anklets to make. I make these for friends and family all the time, and you can usually see me wearing one on my ankle or one of my wrists. And I'm going to teach you how to do this super awesome bracelet today. There are so many tutorials out there with written instructions on how to make bracelets like this, but I find those written instructions to be extremely confusing. So I thought showing y'all a little tutorial of how to make them watching me would be a fun way for you to learn. So I put in your kit an already made set of embroidery string so that it's ready to be made into a bracelet. I leave my end really big because I find that when it comes to tying my bracelet at the end, I can just cut the loop of the bracelet and then easily tie it together. But some people like tying it with the loop, and that works too. But you'll see that you have a nice size loop. I'm going to pause my video and get reoriented so that you'll be able to see me as I'm making it instead of seeing me backwards like it would be if I filmed the bracelet part of it this way. So I'm going to pause my video, and when it restarts you'll see my hands only getting ready to work on the bracelet. I really recommend using like a clipboard like this, or even a water bottle if you have a water bottle that has something to loop onto. I find that that is the easiest way to make my bracelets. I loop it on to my water bottle, and then I can easily make the bracelet that way. Or alternatively, I will hook it on to a clipboard like that and make it that way. If you don't have anything like that, I would recommend using a piece of tape and taping it to the table that you are working from. That would be an easy way to do it also. But it's really hard to do if you're just using it in your hands. So make sure you have it attached to something ready to go for when I am showing you how to do the next step. All right, I'm gonna pause my video and resume in just a moment. All right, everyone, so you can see that I've got my clipboard set up, and now I'm gonna take my string. My clipboard has a little hole at the top, so I'm gonna put my string with the loop first, just through that little hole. I'm gonna grab it through the other side, and then taking my loop, I'm going to spread the loop out and just feed the rest of the string through the loop so that it goes like that. That's going to make it really easy to do my bracelet. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first step I'm going to do is separate my string. So you're going to see that you have multiple of the same color, and basically what you want to do is get one of each color on each side. So I'm going to take a quick moment to do that. And I'm going to make sure I've got one of each color on each side. All right, it looks good. So the next thing I'm going to do is decide what color order I want my bracelets to be. And I'm going to go ahead and do what's already set up there. So I'm starting with my dark purple, light purple, my dark blue, and then my brighter blue. And I'm going to actually set these ones off to the side. I don't want to worry about that set yet, and I'm going to get started with this set right here. So I'm going to go ahead and separate these ones out a little bit. And the first color we are going to start with is this dark purple. So it's the same knot for the whole bracelet and the same pattern for each color. So I will start with this purple and walk you through it. The first set that you do on the bracelet is always going to come out a little weird. You'll see on these ones you can barely see that first set of colors on there, and then as it goes down you're able to see that V-shaped chevron a lot better. So the first one I'll do, you won't be able to see it that well. But to start with, I'm going to take my purple that I'm starting with and the color right next to it, and I'm going to make a triangle like the number 4. I want to make it with the point of the triangle on the left side and the string coming on the right side. So just like that, I'm going to take the purple string and put it up under the other string so it looks like that, and then I'm going to pull tight. Now when I pull tight, I want to hold on to this string, and the color that I'm pulling, that's the color I want to pull. I don't want to pull them both because it won't create a nice knot. I just want to pull this one up nice and tight. I'm going to do 2 for each color. This is really important. If you don't do 2 knots on each string, your bracelet will curl up and it will be really hard for it to stay straight. So I did 2 of that one, and now I'm moving on to my next color. So my next color is this dark blue. I'm going to take my triangle, put it behind, up and around, and pull tight. And once again, I'm doing it twice for each color. All right, now I'm moving on to the last color on this side. I want to get those strings out of the way. And once again, I'm making my triangle, I'm coming up and behind, pulling it through, and knotting it. And once again, double knot every time, like that. So I mentioned before that the start looks kind of weird. You can't even really see, it just looks like some knots right there. I'm gonna set this aside. The purple that I started with should be on the very end now. So when I first started, this purple string was on this side, but now you can see that I've made the knots and now it's in the middle. I'm going to set those strings aside and I'm going to move on to the next side. I want to make sure that this side is set up the same way the other side was. So I had dark purple, light purple, dark blue, and then bright blue. If I don't have these set up the same way, my pattern will not work, because basically the pattern meets in the middle point. So if I had different color on this side and different color on that side, these 2 strands would meet in the middle, but they would look like 2 different colors. You can experiment with it that way if you choose. I've never done it that way, so I recommend just trying to follow the way I'm doing it by keeping the colors the same. Now it's the same exact step, except this time the triangle point is going to be facing the right, so it's backwards. So I'm going to take my dark purple, I'm going to make my triangle, put it behind and through, and then remember, I'm only pulling the dark color. I'm going to double knot just like I did on the other side. Sometimes you'll see my hand holding my other pieces of string. I'm just really used to making these bracelets, and so it's easy for me to hold the string with both hands. If you're only holding it with one hand, that is totally okay. And I'm just going to keep doing that process. So now I'm moving on to my dark blue string, going up, behind, around. And when it's around, you see that it's like a little loop with the string coming through. And remember, I'm only pulling the purple. I'm going to keep going, make my second knot. Okay, now I'm on to my last color on this side, my blue, bright blue. So I'm going to go ahead, pull it through, make one more triangle, back and behind, pull it through, and all the way up. Okay. So remember, right now it looks a little strange. You can just see these little knots at the beginning. The chevron pattern isn't quite coming through yet, but now there's one more step. So now your bracelet should have the 2 same colors meeting in the middle. Now it doesn't matter which way you choose to go. You can choose to make the triangle from the left side or from the right side, but you're going to do that same step of making your triangle and making 2 knots of the same color. That's what's going to give you that V point of the chevron. Okay, so again, kind of hard to see, but by the second time I do this, you'll be able to see my V pattern coming through. So I'm going to start the same process, and now I'm starting with my light purple because that's the color that's on the end. So I'm going to come and make my 2 triangles with my 2 knots. Triangle, up and behind, thread it through, and knot. And I'm just going to do this all the way down my colors until I get to the other side, just like before. If you accidentally make a knot with the wrong color, the first thing you should do is stop. Don't pull tighter, it'll make the knot really hard to get out, but if you stop right where you notice it, you'll be able to undo the knots. You'll have to go in and peel them apart with your fingers, but it is possible. So now you can see that I have a nice little line of light purple. I met in the middle, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same for this side of the light purple. So I'm making those triangles up and behind. I'm on the right side now, so my triangle is facing the right side. I'm pulling it up. And I'm just going to go ahead and do it for the next two colors. Same thing, always making sure I do 2 knots. Moving on to my purples. Okay, once again, my colors meet in the middle. When you know that it's the middle, you know that it's the middle because the 2 colors in the middle are the same. I'm going to go ahead and make my sail, my triangle. Sometimes I call it a sail because it looks like a sailboat sail. Triangle up and around, make my knot. And now you can see that we are starting to get that chevron pattern. Sometimes you'll see a little bit of gap between your knots and you can just push them forward using your fingernail like I just did. And you're just going to keep doing this process over and over and over until you've got a nice sized bracelet. I like to measure on my wrist or my ankle, wherever I'm putting it, to see when I'm done. When it's like this with just a little bit of string in the back, that's when it's done. But you can make it however long you'd like. At some point you'll run out of string, so I like to recommend going only until you have the string to do so. I'll show you one last round of this, and then it'll be up to you to start working on your own bracelet. Always making sure that I'm using the right string at the right time, making my knots. This is something that you might be a little slower to start with. I used to do these very slowly. You can see that I've gotten a lot faster as the video's gone on, and that's partly because I make these all the time, and so I am pretty speedy at making them, and I can just crank them out now. I like to hold my string I'm not using in one of my fingers because I find it's easier to not get tangled up at the bottom here that way. It's okay if you don't do that. Some people like to tape the string they're not using off to the side, whatever works for you. If you've made these kind of bracelets before, maybe you've made them where your rows of color are just straight. It's the same exact type of knot, it's just making it into a different pattern now. Now my 2 blues have met in the middle. Just going to tighten that knot. All right, and now they're ready to be met together. There you go. And just like that, you're going to keep going until you've turned this into a nice bracelet or anklet. All right, everyone, thanks so much for joining me. Sorry this video is a little on the long side, but I wanted to make sure I shared all of these steps with you. I hope you enjoy your embroidery string bracelet, chevron style, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next mini lesson. Thanks so much.